Disrupt or disrupted? That's the question. Hi, I'm Dr. Bruce Hoag. I'm a psychologist who helps entrepreneurs like you to get the results that you want by teaching you how to think differently. In this short video, I want to talk to you about whether you're disrupting your niche or you're being disrupted by others. You see, it's one or the other. There's no third choice. Now, if you know of someone who is frustrated by the disruption in their niche and who would like to know more about what to do about it, then please share this video with them. Share it on social media too, and that way I can help other entrepreneurs to get the results that they want. And click the like button, and then subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and click the little bell, and then whenever I make another valuable video like this one, you'll be one of the first to know. Now, let's think a little bit about disruption for a few minutes. It should come as no surprise that many would-be entrepreneurs are trying to figure out how to create an innovative business by doing what everyone else is doing already. Are you trying to look like everyone else? If so, there's probably a good reason for that. It's because when you look at other businesses, all you see are solutions. Pick any business that you like. What you see is that business owner's solution to a problem. What you don't see is the problem that that business owner solved. In order to find out what that is, you have to look for it. For example, why are there so many different supermarket chains? Or why is there more than one automobile manufacturer? Or why, for instance, are there so many different kinds of breakfast cereals or cookies in the store? In fact, why is there so much variety of anything? It's because each one of those products solves a problem that the others don't. In some way, each one fills a different need. It's been suggested that one way to find a problem to solve is to read 30 books in your niche and to buy the products of your competition so that you can identify the gaps that exist and then create a solution of your own. But for that idea to be effective, you have to think in terms of unsolved problems. In other words, if all you do is evaluate the solutions of others, then at best yours will contain only a large measure of everyone else's. Ronald Reagan once said that the status quo is Latin for the mess we're in. Another way to think about this is to recognize that the status quo is the most vulnerable part in disruption. In other words, whatever is the status quo is the thing that is the most vulnerable. And that's because it's not only dated, but it's also predictable. Have you ever visited someone's house where the bathroom sink had knobs that were typical of the 1970s, or carpet that reminded you of your childhood, or maybe a room that reminded you of your grandparents' house? Or how about bell-bottom pants and flowered blousey shirts or mini skirts? When was the last time you saw these things worn in abundance? What about cars? Of all the models that have been made over the years, relatively few have a body style that marks them as classics. The rest look dated and are traded in. The irony is that most cars made in the past 10 years at least were built to last for a very long time, and yet millions of new ones are sold every year. Why is that? It's not because the cars are unreliable, or even because comparatively few customers can afford to change them that often. Instead, it's because people have become used to them and they want something newer. You know, there's a really cheap way to get a new car smell in your old car. It's to buy a bottle of it and then to spray the inside of your car with it. How many people do you know who have done this? That's what I thought. I can't think of anyone either. Those who want a new car smell for themselves buy a new car. The status quo is also predictable. Reliability in some things, such as in a restaurant, is important. But when you know that things can't get any better, even though your needs have changed, then that's when you start to look for another solution, one that is relevant now. This is extremely important for entrepreneurs because it's their ability to anticipate the needs of their customers that keeps them in business. And it's why restaurants, for example, introduce new dishes with the seasons or in conjunction with an important event or public holiday. And this leads to one of the most widely held myths on the planet. It's the one that says that it's a form of insanity to do the same thing day after day and expect a different outcome. That statement is false. When people make this claim, they're assuming that their behavior, the behavior of doing the same thing day after day ad infinitum, will always produce the same result. But in order for that to be true, all the other things it touches have to remain the same too. And you know that they're not. Take something as simple as weight control. The average person, whoever that is, gains about 1 pound or half a kilo per year from the age of about 18. Why is that? It's because they don't change their eating habits. In other words, they do the same thing day after day after day. In order for the myth to be true, their weight would have to remain more or less the same through their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and so on as a result of eating the way they did when they were 18. And we know that that simply isn't the case. Nearly everyone gains weight. So in order to maintain their weight at age 18, they actually have to eat differently because eating the same way day after day gives them a different result, not the same one. And this surprises many people. And it's why people exercise too. They're trying to improve. They're trying to get better than they are now, and they're certainly trying not to get any worse. But that doesn't mean that they're expecting to compete in a race or an event, though some will do that. Instead, they just want to be healthy. Now, because the status quo is most vulnerable to disruption, you have to make sure that you're not relying on it. That is, you have to figure out how to disrupt your niche before someone does it for you. You see, you can either ride the disruption wave or drown trying to swim against it. So how do you disrupt your niche? You do what all other disruptors do. You make the status quo irrelevant. That's what David did. He disrupted Goliath's life. How did he do this? He changed the rules of engagement. The problem, as he saw it, was how to defeat the enemy, not how to defeat him with the standard weaponry of the day. So instead of attacking with a sword and a shield, he did so with a slingshot. The stone that penetrated Goliath's forehead was traveling at excess of 60 miles per hour. If you're struggling to come up with an innovative approach, then you need to think about the war you're fighting. Are you fighting one where you're simply copying everyone else? Or are you creating a game that only you can win? Questions like that may seem theoretical, even philosophical, but if you're going to disrupt your niche, then you have to learn how to ask questions that no one else asks, even if they seem absurd or abstract. Novelists, for example, advance their stories by asking, what if? What if this character does X instead of Y as everyone expects him to? That's what you have to do. And entrepreneurs have been doing this for decades and not just offline. Have you ever received a really valuable freebie, a PDF, or a recording, or some software that was better than you thought it would be? The question asked beforehand by the question who gave it to you was, what if I gave some of my best value away for free? And what has happened? The quality of free items has risen steadily, as you no doubt have noticed. A few cheat sheets just doesn't cut it anymore. You have to give something of real value in order to persuade someone to provide their email address to you. And even then, you might not get anything more than a throwaway address. Why is that? It's because the expectations of potential subscribers have increased. Someone decided to play the rules differently, and they disrupted the status quo. So I have a few questions for you. What is there about your niche that feels like the status quo? What is everyone else doing? What is everyone else saying? And what questions do you need to ask that no one else does? You want to make it your goal to identify the mess that your niche is in and then disrupt it. Now, if you enjoyed this video, then please share it with your friends and on social media too. And then click the like button and subscribe to this channel and click the little bell. And then whenever I make another valuable video like this one, then you'll be one of the first to know. If you'd like to learn more about psych hacks, then visit my website at psychhacks.com. Until next time.